morning, everyone. Welcome to Coffee and Football, presented by Vaughn Lane. I'm your host, Blake Monroe, where I'm joined daily by Bobby Burton and Jerry Hamilton. Tell us where you're checking in from this morning, what you're drinking, get your questions in. We're going to have Will Matthews joining us later today as well. But let's start with the biggest news, Bobby and Jerry, and that's Texas is healthy, apparently.
Love to see this, man. That's virginal right there. Texas is clean and healthy, completely healthy for the first time this year. Literally no one, Jerry, on the injured list. They lost Andre Kojo preseason, but the backup tackle, that's the only one that's out. Obviously, they've lost Jarrett Gibson, the running back. He's going to transfer. And Will Stone, he's transferring, the kickoff guy. But long story short, of the other 82 on the roster, they are all ostensibly healthy. That is big-time news for the Longhorns. Compare that to Georgia, Jerry, where they're missing not only a big-time defensive lineman in Jordan Hill, but also Colby Young, a young wide receiver that has done some damage for them. Lawson Lucky, young man who took the big hit at Mississippi State, we thought might be out for this game, now listed as probable. He's one of their 3 tight ends that they use so effectively. Very, very good blocker. Look, one of the things that we need to talk about at some point in time is how good they are on blocking on the edge, and that starts with their tight end group, Oscar Delp, Lawson Lucky as well. But long story short, you couldn't ask for anything more in this matchup from a Texas perspective. You're as healthy as you've been, and frankly, you're playing as well as you've played all year going into this game. You got a week off to get even healthier. If we don't get Texas's best effort and best season, I'll be somewhat surprised, because everything points to that, even in a scenario where they're playing a team that is highly, highly talented in Georgia. I mean, Ohio State and Georgia, from a depth perspective, will be the 2 most talented, deep teams they play all year.
I think what Kirby wants to do is call a clapping timeout and say, hold on, Texas has no injuries. Well, hold on. Timeout. Timeout on that. We don't believe that. But no, it's great for Texas. Look, I mean, it's all hands on deck. Both these teams. I mean, Lawson Lucky got knocked in the next week, which is now, and he's still probable. So this is an all hands on deck game. If Jordan Hall hadn't torn his knee up, he'd be playing if it was a minor. I mean, Colby Young out for the season, but this is an all hands on deck game for both of these teams. I can't wait to talk to Will Matthews about kind of what he expects from his perspective being on the field for this game. I mean, this is going to be the toughest. I'll say this, and Ohio State was big because of the build up to that game. I actually think this may be the toughest environment Texas has played in this year. Coming up Saturday,
night game,
red out. I mean, there's real hate there because Texas is now part of the recruiting implications. And what I always say about the SEC is there's football 1A, recruiting 1B, and spring football is a distant third. Like, recruiting's over spring football in the SEC. Like, when they say it just means more, that carries over to recruiting.
It's because it's a blood sport.
It is.
It's a blood sport.
You're not just hated for football. You're hated for recruiting too in the SEC, and especially when you start recruiting the big dog state, you're really hated, right? I mean, one of the big things about Kirby Smart being hired at Georgia, yes, he played at Georgia, was to slow down Nick Saban at Alabama, because Nick Saban was getting too many players, getting too many good players out of Georgia. Mark Richt couldn't put up the fight against Nick Saban in his own state on some of those top guys. And however, it's football 1A and recruiting 1B, and they all know it melds together in the SEC because everybody's battling on the same premium position players across the region. There's going to be real hatred in the stands and in Athens Saturday. It's going to be the toughest environment Texas has played in this year.
I'm ready for it.
Should be fun.
Look, one of the things I wrote about and we need to talk about is this game, to me, and you tell me if I'm wrong. Big anticipatory feelings going into the Ohio State game this year for me, the Oklahoma game for me, and now Georgia's the third game where I have that much anticipation. And I thought I tried to put it into words why I feel that way. And I think it's because college football is so different than pro football in that you're expected to win so many games and really 3 to 4 watching while my hubby
Bobby, I'm laughing while you're talking. I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at this. This is hilarious.
What I wanted to say though is in college football, you have these certain games every year. It's not every week that feels the same, right? And Georgia is now one of those 3 games, and I think A&M will be the 4th of the 12 that Texas plays this year, where you have that gut feeling, not just a day before or the day of. You have that anticipatory feeling going the whole time. We need to say congratulations to some people, not just a person having a colonoscopy, but first, let's say thank you to our sponsor, each and every Thursday's edition of Coffee and Football, brought to you by our friends over at Von Lane. Man, TSA is a mess right now. If you're trying to get between Austin, San Antonio, Dallas, Houston, Fort Worth, any major city in the state of Texas, fall will bring you busy weekends, crisp weather, and plenty of travel plans, from business trips and family visits to those can't-miss football games in Austin. And if you're a Longhorn fan heading to Austin for the big games that close out the season, there's no better way to get there than Von Lane. Forget those airport crowds. Jeez. I went through it this weekend, by the way. Brutal. I-35 traffic, don't worry about that. With Von Lane, you board in minutes at a private hotel terminal located just minutes from your final destination, then relax in one of only 22 oversized first-class seats with Wi-Fi, power outlets, and personal service that makes the miles fly by. Every Von Lane trip includes complimentary snacks, beverages, and hot towel service with complimentary meals available on select routes. Whether you're traveling for a football weekend, Thanksgiving, or Christmas, Von Lane turns your travel time into downtime, and it does feel that way. I've gone with them before, and it feels like it's actually easy to get places. Book today at vonlane.com and use code OTF25 to save $20 on your first ride. Von Lane, private jet on wheels, now serving Austin, Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, Fort Worth, even Plano and the Woodlands, as well as Nashville, Memphis, Atlanta, and Knoxville. They're in the Southeast.
Hey, I got to bring this back up because I just got to add something to this. I got mine during the Kentucky game, and the only people on a live stream, and the only people there to support me were Jeff Howe and Aaron Hogan.
You got your colonoscopy?
What it felt like, yeah.
Yeah.
Kentucky game, live on air.
I think we witnessed.
one.
I think we witnessed Steve Sarkisian getting his during that game. By the way,
Yeah, it was a tough one, man. Live on air is no way to go with that.
Hey, I want to read this because remember yesterday Clay put in a super chat. He says, "Good morning, OTF. Quinn Matthew was born yesterday at 12:20 in the afternoon, 7 pounds 9 ounces. Thanks for all the love and prayers yesterday. Mom and baby are doing great. Beat Georgia."
There you go, Quinn, yours.
Wow, there you
Love
go.
it. Thanks, Clay. Congratulations, buddy. It's a moment you'll never forget, man.
He missed the opportunity to be the like, what would this be, the 10,000th baby named Shohei since the World Series,
or Arch in the state of Texas. Even Blake Monroe has. Hey, by the way, Blake Monroe has a son named Colt.
What's that?
So you know,
not CULT.
No, not Colt. Definitely not Colt. Oh man. All right. Let's see here. There was one other one I wanted to say to Emmanuel Roberts. Happy birthday to your daughter. So I hope she has a good one as well. And thanks for tuning in. And Bobby, I know you had something you wanted to talk about this morning. So I'm going to kick it over to you.
Yeah, as we're talking about family and whatnot here, one of the Longhorns that I covered when he was a high school recruit 20 plus years ago, Jerry did as well.
Yeah.
Tony Jeffrey, former Longhorn, had a stroke a couple of days ago. And we are literally trying to raise money for him through a GoFundMe. He had a stroke. He's a former college assistant coach. And here at OTF, we give in some money to this cause and would support this. He was a member of the University of Texas team in the early 2000s, part of a class that included Sloan Thomas and Roy Williams and B.J. Johnson, that group of receivers. And Tony was kind of the unsung hero. I got to meet his dad back in the day. James Jeffrey was a guy that worked for Brown and Root down in Houston for years. And so I've known them of them more so. They've never been close friends or anything, but he's a good guy, good family. And I'm hopeful that Tony, our thoughts and prayers are with him as he tries to recover from what looks like it's going to be a long recovery for him. But please consider him in your prayers and your thoughts as well.
And I dropped the link to the GoFundMe in the chat for
Thank
anybody
you
wanting to donate.
Thank you. Very much.
Alfio, please keep us updated on TJ.
Yep.
All right. Let's see here. Up next, let's actually Sugar Cane Daddy with Super Chat. My neighbors have a Longhorn named Arch. Seriously.
There you go.
I like it.
Your neighbor must be a ranch or something to have a Longhorn named Arch. There we go. Now we're profiling you. Now we now know you live on a ranch.
I will say this: I once had my dad took me to a auction, and they let me raise a baby bull in the backyard of a residential neighborhood in Nacogdoches till it broke down the fence, and then it had to go to my uncle's ranch. But I had to do it as a kid. The backyard did not smell good for a few months. I will say that. There were some complaints.
Nacogdoches.
In a residential neighborhood, then it broke down the fence.
Well, up next, let's talk recruiting for a moment. Jerry, you had an article on ontexasfootball.com this morning talking about some potential visitors. And so I'm going to let you take it away.
Yeah, so that November 22nd, 23rd visitors dates building out. Bryson Martinez, I was at East Ascension a couple of days ago. He will be in next weekend. Caden Scher, we had mentioned on Texas Football that was likely to get set up. It has now been set up for an official visit. He's an offensive tackle swing type of player. I actually put pretty high percentage on that one happening for Texas. Teray Davis, the UCLA commit, who rescheduled his first weekend of November visit to the 22nd. Then Josiah Vilmel, which I expect that one to happen. I want to say the caveat, he has to make a change in his official visit schedule, but I was at the school Monday, and I do expect that to end up happening to where he comes in the Arkansas game, unless Texas bumps that back. Drake Quinn, there's going to be some other guys, by the way, that'll be added to this. And we're not putting any 27s here on here yet, but this was more 26s because we're 3 weeks from signing day right now. So Drake Quinn scheduled to be in unofficially. Like I said, I don't think this will be the full list of 26s. I would expect a couple other guys to be on this. It's just kind of one of those works in progress, and it's a work in progress for two reasons. One, the other guys are committed elsewhere. Texas is trying to get in a Richard Anderson from Edna Carr, but it goes to your playoff schedule. Do you play a Friday game? Do you play a Saturday game? And how does that affect you and kids in the state of Texas, by the way? Because there will be your majority of your playoff games are on Friday night, but there will be some on Saturday. And, oh, by the way, now that you're in the playoffs, you may have more of a Saturday morning schedule post-playoff game with your high school team. But since it's a 2:30 or night game start, that flex schedule, I do think Texas will get a number of guys in for this game. It's been the weekend they've had circled for a while. I do think there will be more 26s added and to this potentially, depending on playoff schedules and travel ability. But we'll see. We'll see where this class is kind of knocking on the door again, whether it's ranked 4, 5, or 6 as a top 5 level class. But they got to go finish on this class as well. And I know some people are like, well, what does that mean? Well, if you recruit enough in the top 5, you're always going to have a really talented roster. And I do think Texas is on course to do that, but they have up to 2 offensive line spots left in this class on the high school level. I do think they'll take another wide receiver in this class. And Jalen Lott's not on that list. He's already been in unofficially. Obviously, he's the top target. I do think there will be a fourth high school defensive lineman. They want a pass rusher, another edge in this class. They would like another linebacker. I'm not sure where that's going to come from right now, honestly. We'll see if they offer anybody here coming up in the next week or so. And then they want another defensive back in this class. So that's kind of where the targets are right now that are remaining positionally in this class.
I have two questions. One from Terry Freeman. Jerry, are we recruiting Landon Williams-Callis from running back down from Richmond Randall? He's a 2027 though.
Yeah, very good player.
They're recruiting him, right?
They're recruiting him, but I think that one's trending away as of right now. But Texas isn't making huge pushes. There's other people that are being much more aggressive early in this.
In 27.
Yeah, in state, Texas A&M and Texas Tech.
Let me ask you this, just while I got you on this. When do you think we're going to start seeing stuff on portal? Like, do you think that's going to be postseason primarily, or do you think some things will be starting to leak out around late November before the A&M game, say that week of Thanksgiving? It kind of sets up just my perception. Jerry, I've done this now. I've been in the college football game for 30 plus years in the media, right? But portal is so new, and now that the dates moved to January, Jerry, it feels like we're not going to hear much until after the season. But I don't know that to be the case for sure. I mean,
well, I lean that direction, and here's one of the reasons I lean that direction. Now, agents behind the scenes, right? But what about the NIL? These guys are getting paid NIL now,
right? So they have to play through it.
Yeah. That's the kind of the thing for me is, even if there's guys that are planning to jump in the portal that are at LSU or Florida right now, those guys are still getting paid through the collectives and the rev share. I'm not sure that's good business by those kids.
Yeah. So you really don't expect anything till early December on portal.
Yeah, right. Last games are Thanksgiving weekend?
Yeah.
I think
late
right
November, early December. Last year it started happening mid-November. It started happening right about now, actually.
Yeah.
And we just haven't heard that much.
Yeah,
on portal. And I'm not talking about Texas. I'm talking about across the country.
Yeah,
we just haven't heard that much.
Yeah,
we've heard conjecture, but not, hey, I'm definitely putting my name in the portal type stuff.
Yeah. By the way, Antoine asked a question earlier on recruiting, and I do want to get this. Texas basketball won last night. Bo Ogden signed yesterday. Joe Sterling is, I believe, going to sign Friday in a ceremony because the signing day is a week, and then Austin Gooseby, we expect to announce his decision early next week. That's, of course, when you're Austin's level, everything's being set up through ESPN's or whoever's going to have the feed of an announcement like that when you're ranked as high as he is in hoops. So I think that's I still feel pretty good about Texas. BYU's real competition. We'll see which way that goes. If anybody asks about Cam Williams, I think Cam Williams is going to Duke.
We got a couple, excuse me. We got a couple of super chats this morning, and I want to jump over to those. Dante here says, prior to the injury report, ChatGPT picked Georgia. Post report, ChatGPT is now going with Texas. Linebackers, defensive backs, watch out for the fake screen to Branch and tight end pass.
Yeah, they'll try that outside double move where they'll fake the screen pass to Branch. The tight end is stalk blocking. It's a stalk and go kind of route to the outside. They've had success with that because Branch he's kind of their shake and bake guy, Jerry, for lack of a better term. He gets free yardage on the outside. CJ came up with a stat. His average distance of target, or it was either CJ or Rod, average distance of target for a wide receiver at Georgia for Zachariah Branch is 3 yards.
Yep.
So he's the one that gets passes behind the line of scrimmage and go make juice, man. Yep. That's him. We'll see what that means and what they do. And if he's successful, you can guarantee you that it's going to draw attention and that tight end pass is going to be available.
Yeah. So that's why when this game's talked about as being a physical battle, which it's going to be, and Georgia's going to make sure it's that way, because you have to go in and win the physical battle to win on the road in the SEC against a really good team. Part of that physical battle is getting off blocks on the perimeter, because what they've done with Branch a lot is they motion him to the boundary and they just flip it out quick to him. You have to be able to get off those blocks on the perimeter. So the physicality is not just in the box, it's also on the perimeter. Because you have to be, and Georgia the same way with Texas. I mean, this is why the physicality carries to all over the field, because who's going to blow up the screen game and the quick game? It's going to be a big part of this Saturday. Who blows up that? Which defense blows up the quick game and the screen game? That's going to be a big part of that, because that's extensions of the run game. And obviously Georgia is really going to want to try to blow that up, because they think Texas will have a tough time running it anyways. If you take away the flip game out to the perimeter, if you can blow that up and take away that extension of the run game, then Georgia believes Texas will have a really tough time running the football. I'm not saying they're right. That's just been their plan everybody knows their plan. It's out there. It's been out there.
And then we got a super chat from Colton. Thank you, Colton. He says, in my opinion, Texas plays the best game of the year. However, what would your guys' pregame speech be?
I don't know that I've given a pregame speech other than sending my kids off to college. I mean, it's
I call Tony pretty much.
Go get a Tiger, I don't know. It probably focus on concentration and doing your job. Football is, we've said this a million times on this show. I believe it's the ultimate team sport going today. I really believe it is. And that means everybody has to do their job. Particularly, look, offense is a concert, right? It's like a symphony. If, the violinist screws up, it's going to sound like crap. Well, that could be the offensive tackle, or that could be the wide receiver, or whatever. And so I really believe that you have to focus on doing your job at the highest level and realize that every single play and every single second matters. Big believer in extra effort leads to luck. I'm a believer in business. Going to the very end to where you can't go anymore and you're still trying to go do more. That's where your luck comes in, and I think that you're going to need a little bit of that for this game, but you got to create it for yourself by going that extra mile.
I'll tell you where Naaman Roberts. I'm Kirby Smart officiating the game. Naaman Roberts. I just don't have my headset on like Halloween. I had to give that back to my kid. But my pregame speech deal is kind of. Here's what I've always said about those, in my opinion. I've had them, I've heard them. Right, we all have. If you need one for this game, you probably having some issues with your team. Number one, that doesn't mean you won't get one, but if you're dependent on it, if you think, oh man, I gotta get this thing over the line, then you probably have some issues with your team to start with. There should be no speech needed for this game, especially after the way you've played at Florida on the road and Kentucky on the road this year, especially Florida, who wanted to come in and take your cornbread. And that's where we're at right now, right? That's what Georgia's going to try to do. So there shouldn't be any pregame speech for that, because I think one of the funniest clips of all time is Bob Knight after an NCAA tournament game. People asked, did his guys have their game face on? And he kind of went through all these crazy faces. He's like, what is a game face? And I don't think you need one for this game. I think you need one for the games that are emotionally hard to get up for from human nature standpoint. But look, if it's me, Torrey Becton should be challenging these guys all week as much as Steve Sarkisian from a physicality standpoint. The whole staff. It's a whole staff thing. You know what George is about to try to do. This is an all-week thing. You know what George is about to try to do to you. It's a pretty simple one. You can put it in whatever word you want, but I don't think you need much firing up for this game. Zane Petty says, tell us your favorite, best Rusty Mansell story. I can't, because I'd be involved, and we can't do that. But Rusty's a great dude and a lot of fun.
Jeff Carey with Super Chat. It's Kirby's speech revenge game.
Now, he will always do one. He's John Calipari. He is that guy. So if I'm wrong on that, I'm wrong on that. But he will. He's John Calipari. It's Georgia against the world, whether they're ranked 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5.
All right, let's see here. I'll tell you what, before we look at the SEC schedule, let's take another question or two. Let's do this one from Brendan. He says, do we suspect our personnel size on defense to be a little bigger to cancel out the run?
This is a good question, Brendan. Yeah. They're going to have to be, I think. I think they may go with 3 down with a Travis Shaw, an Alex January, a Murad Watson, rotate in some guys like Cole Brevard, Hero Canoe at 5 or at 4-eye instead of a 3 technique. They're going to have to do some of that kind of stuff and get more 3 true down linemen, I think, against Georgia, because Georgia just moves people too well in the run game. You got to do something different to mitigate their strength. And Texas is, and I say different, it's not something that Texas hasn't done this year, though.
Yeah.
So they're familiar with it. But I certainly would say, Brendan, to your point, this is one of those games that you circle and say, hey, they're going to try to push. They're going to try to jam this ball down our throat.
Yes.
So we got to be ready with our bigs.
Yeah. And we talked about that after, what was it, after Oklahoma really is when we started talking about that. Teams on the schedule, could run the football better, and we're going to force the run. And here's where you're at with that. Georgia's definitely going to do that. A&M and Austin will try to do that. So those 2 teams run the football very effectively, and they are going to try to shove it down your throat, just like Bobby said. So I do expect more bigger fronts and more bigger rotations within those fronts throughout the game, because I do think Georgia's going to force the run. I think they're smart to force the run, and they're going to do it in a power run.
All right, then we got another question here from Dave. Actually, he says Texas averaged 1.1 yards rushing last year against Georgia. Can we hope to at least double that?
Well, we can hope. I mean, this is the reason to bring up this question subsequent to what we just talked about, where Georgia, we're talking about they're going to try to jam it down Texas's throats. Texas, I think, has a run game where they have to be a little more judicious, Jerry, with their opportunities and with what they try to do. I certainly hope Texas has more success. A lot, and I will say this, a lot of that 1.1 yards per carry. Sack yards and tackles for loss. I mean, Jerry came up with the stat in the 2 games last year. Georgia had 25 tackles for loss and 13 sacks.
Yep.
So the average rushing yards is a little bit different, Dave.
Yeah, Quinn was minus 66 in those 2 games.
Yeah. And so what I'm getting at is those not that they ran the ball effectively against Georgia, because they didn't. But if they can not give up so many tackles for loss where you're behind the chains repeatedly, they're going to put themselves in more advantageous positions. I don't know if they need to double that, though. I don't know if they'll be able to. I know that they need to be effective running the football, whatever effective looks like. Some people talk about, 2 yards in a cloud of dust. Sometimes it's okay. 2nd and 8 is not. 2nd and 8 is a hell of a lot better than 2nd and 18 or 2nd and 15.
Yeah.
When you're getting sacked or pitches and tackled for loss. One of the things I'm looking forward to is to see if Texas tries at least to run up the middle a little against Georgia, because people don't really test them up the middle because they're so good. But with Cedric Baxter, I think you have to test them to keep them honest, because they're so darn fast to the outside with their linebackers. So I think you have to try to keep Georgia's run defense honest. And so I don't know if that means doubling the number, Dave. I really don't. I just know that they've got to keep them honest with the run game, so they can't just sit there and pin their ears back in pass rush.
Well, before we talk about the SEC schedule, first, I'm going to let Jerry this morning tell everyone about Ridge Wallet.
Go to Athens, win the game, take their Ridge Wallet. That's what I say. Ridge say hello to the Ridge 2.0, the most refined version of the Ridge Wallet. Ridge has been perfecting this wallet for 12 years. Everything is better on the Ridge 2.0. It's 10% lighter. Every gram matters in the Ridge Wallet 2.0. They found the perfect balance. They made it more modular with improved cash straps, money clips, and AirTag attachments. Improved surface design with logos and matching plated cash straps as well, made with premium materials like aluminum, titanium, and carbon fiber. Holds up to 12 cards plus cash in that Ridge wallet. Losing your wallet is the absolute worst. I just start sweating. You just feel bad all day. But with the Ridge tracker card, you always know where exactly it is before panic mode kicks in. Perfect peace of mind for holiday travel and gifting. Give gifts that stay out of the junk drawer and find their way into morning routines, travels, and adventures. For a limited time, Ridge is having their huge Black Friday sale. Head to ridge.com and get up to 47% off your order. This is by far the biggest discount they've given all year. That's ridge.com for up to 47% off your order during their biggest sale of the year. After you purchase, they'll ask where you heard about them. You say the team that officiates Georgia. Because they need officiating.
And Bobby, if you would tell us about Hollow Socks this morning.
Sure can. When you think about socks, you normally think about cotton or wool. How about something that's lightweight, supportive, and unbelievably soft, 3 times warmer than wool, yet still lightweight? How about alpaca socks built for the field? These are performance-grade socks made from ultra-soft baby alpaca fibers, engineered for rugged conditions and designed to keep your feet dry, warm, and comfortable no matter where the day takes you. Hollow doesn't just make socks for the outdoors. They've engineered them for everyday activity, whether they're compression socks, everyday socks, or hunting socks. For a limited time, Hollow Socks is having a buy 3, get 3 free sale. Head to hollowsocks.com today to check it out. That's hollowsocks.com for up to 50% off your order. After you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. You can support our show by telling them that we sent you. That's on Texas football. Again, hollowsocks.com, having a buy 3, get 3 free sale right now. Alpaca socks that are good and feel nice and lightweight as well as soft.
And I'm going to tell everyone this morning about Prize Picks because we make decisions daily. But on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. And Prize Picks is very simple. You just pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections. If you get your picks right, you can cash in, win up to 2,000 times your money. It's the best way to get in on the sports action in more than 40 states, including California, Florida, Georgia, and right here in Texas. And this week, I have Louisville quarterback Miller Moss having more than 224.5 passing yards, Central Michigan wide receiver Tyson Davis to have more than 14.5 receiving yards, and NIU running back Telly Johnson to have at least 1 touchdown. Come join me on those picks or make your own in less than 60 seconds. Turn your sports opinions into real money. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code ONTEXAS when you sign up to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code ONTEXAS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. And that's Prize Picks. It's good to be right.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, nothing from the Longhorns Georgia game in that scenario that you didn't mention.
Georgia 0.5 flags, Texas 12.5. Which one are you taking? Take the under on Georgia and the over on Texas. You'll hit the big winner.
Seriously, nothing on Texas and Arch.
They have something now. So they have Arch Manning, 220.5 passing yards. Would you go more or less?
Oof.
Better be more. I'd take over. Yeah, they're going to have to. If Texas, I think Texas has to have over.
Yeah.
All right. Passing touchdowns, it's one of their specials. So it's only 0.5 passing touchdowns. You can only go more. You can't go less on that. And then they have Ryan Wingo, 44.5 receiving yards. Would you go more or less?
That better be over too.
I don't know, because they're going to – here's why I say that, Jerry. You know and I know they're going to not allow Texas to hit those quick outside screens. Kirby's going to nix that with some superior athletes that they have that the Vanderbilts and Mississippi States don't.
Yeah.
I would lay off of that is what I would say. I think it's possible, but I 220 for Arch. If we're looking up on Saturday night at 10 o'clock and Arch doesn't have 220, Texas is in trouble.
Yeah, 100%.
And I don't look. Georgia has given up yards through the air. So I interesting. Any other ones? What about Wisner?
So I see two more as far as yardage goes. DeAndre Moore with 37.5 receiving yards, and Parker Livingston with 17.5 receiving yards. But as far as running back yardage, they don't have one listed, only touchdowns.
I'd take the Moore on Parker Livingston. I think we talk about having a connection with somebody. When games are tight, when you know you need to have something, and you have a connection with a guy like Arch has with Livingston, I think that's when those guys, the value of them increase. So that's interesting. Anything on Gunnar Stockton? Like what's his?
Let me look here, Gunnar. I think it would help if I could actually spell and type. All right, Stockton. Here we go. So Stockton has 220.5, the same as Arch, pass yards, more or less.
I'm going to go with less.
Better be less.
Yeah. Well, that means the run game's going though, Jerry.
Yeah, but
I think you've got to force. I think the thing with Georgia, and this is a good point for us to talk about, right, Jerry? I think you've got to make them even at least. You can't let them just run bulldoze you. If they're 60-40 run pass, this game has not gone the way Texas wanted it to.
Yeah.
You got to make them at least 50-50 run pass. You agree with that?
Yeah, but the problem here's the thing: if Stockton is in the 250 range passing, that means Georgia's probably well over 400 total yards, and I think you got some issues at that point because the game's probably not going the way you want it to defensively. I think Georgia's good on offense, but if they start closing in on 450 total yards, I'm not seeing how that's really good. This is not going to be a Tennessee-like shootout, I don't think.
Or an Ole Miss-like shootout?
And Ole Miss only had 368 yards in that game. Yeah.
What's that?
Ole Miss only had 368 yards in that game. They just scored on 5 possessions in a row, and then Georgia's run game over time started to beat on. Somebody asked in the chat.
Well, I think they only had – I want to say this. I think they only had 368 yards, Jerry, because both teams were scoring, so they didn't have that many possessions.
Yeah.
It wasn't necessarily that they weren't moving the ball.
Yeah, they didn't move it in the fourth quarter.
That seems to be a problem for a lot of Georgia opponents, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, Georgia started running that rock. Georgia ended up with 221 rushing yards in that game and 510 total in that game. So Ole Miss for like 3 quarters was on it. And then in that fourth quarter, somebody could find the exact yardage, but they got outgained bigly in the fourth. Somebody asked about, has Georgia played a team that can stop the run? Yeah, Auburn's really good stopping the run. Georgia had, let's see, their running backs in that game. Now, Chauncey Bones had 4 for 5. Nate Frazier, 10 for 24. Josh McCray, 6 for 24. So they had 20 for 53. Auburn's really good defensive front. I think because of their record and how bad their offense is, people are like, well, Auburn's just a bad team. But Auburn's defensive front is as good as there is in this conference. And they shut down the Georgia run game with the running backs.
Well, we have some more supers this morning. And let's see here. Juan Garza, thank you for your super chat as always. Says, do you think with Let's see how Napier went to Georgia to help Kirby. Do you think Sark could counter with Lane Kiffin? Also, quote the words from Optimus Prime, we take the battle to them.
Yeah. So I'm a little different. Like Napier didn't go to Georgia to help Kirby. That's just not realistic. What could be done though, and hey, Billy, do you have one thing we need to take away from that Texas game? Just tell us one thing that gives us some, but they're not going to download from Billy Napier for 6 hours on his Texas game plan. They may say, what's one thing that helped you, Billy? But it's not going to be this like ultimate download. And same thing with Sark and Lane. I think if you could get a 10-minute conversation, try this. This route really seemed to work because we suckered the safety into coming up on the play action and blah. It's not this total and complete download when these guys talk. It's much more, hey, give us that one little nugget, that might help us. Because if you give them too much, these coaches are wary of that because they've already got their own plans and they don't want to redirect them during the middle of game week.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. I say I'm a little different. Here's where I come out on this, and I'm not being different from Bobby, different than the narrative. I think Napier went to Kirby for help, is what I think happened, and for opportunity. And I think Kirby would, you know what? If a Jaden Ball jumped in the portal and wanted to come home, he's from Atlanta, we'll do that. Before we get to our very, very special marathon running guest, Jay Dobbs said, so UGA out-recruited Texas for right guard and right tackle freshman? No. Dontrell Glover, their starting right guard. The Star Chasers aren't going to like this one. He was a high 3-star recruit. He visited Georgia, Tennessee, and South Carolina. The right tackle Juan Gaston's from Atlanta, Westlake. Texas offered him, tried to recruit him. Those are both kids from the Atlanta area. But Dontrell Glover, the right guard, for the people that thinks that Texas is just terrible for taking a 3-star offensive lineman, that starting right guard for Georgia as a freshman was a high 3-star recruit.
I messed up that because I thought he had also been offered by Texas, the right guard, Jerry, despite his ranking.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's bring in our weekly Thursday guest, Will Matthews. How's it going this morning?
What's up, guys? How's it going? This is a very special week.
I'm
super
week.
Excited.
Hey, Will, before we get going, Tony Jeffrey suffered a stroke. We mentioned this early in the program, put a link to the GoFundMe for folks. You know Tony fairly well. That same year, I think he's the same class. Was he the same class year as you?
Yeah.
What have you learned about his situation? What do you know right now?
Yeah, I mean, this is a really tough one. Tony Jeffrey was in my class, that 2000 class. Roy Williams. We had 4 wide receivers that class: BJ, Sloan, Roy, and Tony. I mean, a really great class. We have been close and friends for, 25 years now. And after football, a lot of us, you lose touch for a while. You see guys, you get back in touch. It's a lot like that. But what I heard was Tony was out. He was out shopping. He felt some pain, and then fell over, and then found out that he had a stroke there. My mom is good friends with his family, and we've reached out there, and we'll be helping to contribute to his fund. I mean, it's one of those things that really connects you back to the humanity. When you walk into the University of Texas as an 18, 19, 17-year-old, you think that you're invincible. You think that nothing can stop you. You can do whatever you want. And I mean, a lot of that has to do with a lot of the woes that happen with young guys. They really believe in themselves and their future. But as you grow older, and you guys have experienced this, I know, you start to see the real humanity of life, and you start to remember how important it is to reach out to that guy you haven't talked to in a long time, check in on him and say hi and say, hey man, I love you, and be as vulnerable as possible. I know Tony has a young son who needs him, and he will welcome your contributions and from across the Longhorn community, but as well as your prayers. He's got a long road back. I think his left side is not working in the way that it should, and for a guy that was fast as Tony and this sort of athlete, I know mentally that's a difficult thing. But he's got a lot to look forward to, and a big community that can help him. And this Longhorn community is second to none. So there's the bright spot. But this is a really tough one for the guys.
We contribute on behalf of On Texas Football, by the way, and we would encourage anybody that can help to do so for that. All right, Will. Texas goes to Georgia this weekend. One of the things that I talked about early is that there are certain games each year that feel different. You get more anticipation earlier. It happened with Ohio State for me.
Mm-hmm.
The anticipation was it happens with OU every year for me. Like that, my gut feels all in turmoil the whole week, right? It's feeling that way a little earlier than normal with Georgia.
Mm.
Is there a reason behind that in your mind? And are you feeling that? Do you sense it among Texas fans?
I really do, Bobby, and I think that's such a good way to place it. It is just a couple of games that have the gravitas, and they just mean more to this community. As Texas walked into the SEC, there were really two teams that you have to beat. In 23, we walked in there to Bama, and my God, the energy on that team. Quinn Ewers led that team to a victory there. Alabama, the score was close, but Alabama didn't have a chance. There wasn't a second that we thought that Alabama would be able to overcome Texas in that moment. Texas has seen that kind of excitement sparingly throughout the Sark's tenure, but when he walked into Bama, he had that energy. And really, as a fan, we came into the SEC knowing that we have to beat A&M. That's a game that we focus on. We also know from the tradition that we've had with the Red River that OU is a special game. But you've got to knock the king off to be the king. No matter what happens in the SEC, whether we win the SEC championship, whether we beat everybody, we cannot be number one, and we cannot really flex our muscle in the way that we see possible as Longhorn fans until we beat Georgia. That's it. And that's the butterflies in my stomach. It's like, hey guys, this is the third opportunity for you to knock Kirby Smart over. Can you do it? And the stakes are higher than they've ever been. I mean, we're talking about playoff. We're talking about everything. Look, and this is the game. If you can put on the cape, this is the time to do it, because this is the game that OU game, A&M game, playoff games. This makes stars. This is the kind of game that your children will eat. This is why I got that jersey up there. We went into the Rose Bowl, Michigan, and took it from them. We had to take it. And this is not one that will be gifted to you. This is not one that you can earn by playing well. You have got to punch them in the mouth, and you've got to take it.
Hey, Will, being on the field last year for both of those games, as you were, especially the first game in Austin, was there a noticeable, just from your vantage point, difference there in just like the way the physicality approach of that game? I mean, and to somebody said, well, what's the pregame speech for Sark this game Saturday? I'm like, I don't think you need one. Like, if you need one, you may have issues.
Yeah, and Jerry, you're so right there. I mean, when they walked into here, they walked in ready to take our dinner. They ready to take what was on the plate, and they were going to laugh their way out of it. They walked in here with the confidence, knowing of who they are. I think that has been the real difference between Texas and Georgia. Georgia has continually had an identity that is very close to the identity of their coach. Last year, they didn't run as much, but they have recalibrated and got it back into that. They walked in here last year with their identity, and they knew who they were. They knew that they can ground and pound and hit you, and they can take it to you at that front seven. They had incredible guys. Mikael Williams, Smile Mongdon, those guys, they brought it in a way that Texas had never seen. Texas needed to be punched in the mouth in that way so that they could know what was possible. I think Texas has got to take that to them. And they don't have those edge rushers. They don't have that upfront push in the way that they did prior to that. Those linebackers are nice and they flow. But what you do with linebackers who are able to flow, who hit the gaps in a great way and are able to cover, you run directly at them. I feel like this game is a game that will be won and lost in the trenches. And that's why, with that availability report being so sparse, there's nobody on it for Texas. This is the game where I expect somebody like CJ Baxter to really put this team on his back. If he is ready enough to do it, he has got to run that ball downhill, and he's got to run it directly at him. The only way you get past good linebackers is put a hat on a hat and beat an arm tackle.
Will, to your point, this is a real everybody, and we've all talked about it, everything that goes into this game. Yeah, it's a big game for Sark personally, right? Because of, Kirby and what people will say if he loses the game. It's part of being a coach. But that's why I say there should not be a pregame speech needed. After you got on the plane and went to Florida, it got punched in the mouth a few times and got on the plane and went home with an L. If you didn't learn from that and know what to expect Saturday night, the guys have more issues than we want to talk about, because this is pretty simple, cut and dry stuff.
It really is. And, and I have thought through it. Like, I've looked through the film. I really leaned very heavily on the Ole Miss and the Alabama game where Georgia was able to overcome late, and then Georgia was not able to overcome. And what were the things that were the most successful there? And it's not a huge recipe of this guy, that guy. It was, we lined up and we won the battle individually, man-to-man, one-on-one. They were able to run the ball and or do what they do well. Texas, traditionally, they have thrown the ball well sometimes. They've ran the ball well sometimes. Our running backs have been hurt. They haven't been able to really give that extra punch. But with this off week, that's what we're hoping, that the guys' chemistry is great. And that they're able to put a hat on a hat and get it done. I mean, it will be won down there. I mean, that's why it's important that guys like Taft and Jelani McDonald are back, because they put their body on the line play after play, and they will set the standard. And that standard has got to be, if you and me are in this alley and we fight, I'm leaving here a winner. And that's what, and you got to have that every play. It's not like hey, let me try to position block. No. I have got to punch them in the mouth, and I have got to come off and execute every single play.
Will, we're talking about the Texas offense versus the Georgia defense. Let's flip that, if you don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about the Georgia offense against the Texas D. We were talking earlier. We think that Texas is going to go with a little bit bigger lineup, potentially, with a Travis Shaw, with a Cole Brevard inside, Alex January and Hero Canoe kind of more at that 3 or 4 technique, with 3 big bodies across the line of scrimmage. You agree with that? Is that the right tact? At least at the outset, when you have to stop the run to start the game.
And I think traditionally that would be the way to go, because getting big bodies, you would think big bodies will stop big bodies. But also, Texas has had an interesting mix up front of athletic ability, and I think if you can find a way to really balance that, where you have the big bodies and the athletic speed, because what you need to do is you need to get them off their marks. You need to get them confusing. You need to move. You need to be faster, and you need to be more physical. And the way to do that is really athletic ability. I don't want you just to stop the double team. You got to break it. And I really feel like this could be a game, of course, for the big guys, the Cole Brevards and that, but this could be a game where Hero Canoe could really do some interesting things. Having the size in the middle, but also moving Hero Canoe around too, to be able to really get that extra push, because he causes a level of disruption and havoc that could be enough to really tip the balance in Texas's scale. Because Texas, what they've got to do, beat the double team and keep those linemen off Anthony Hill, Leonga Fowl, and allow those guys to tackle well in space. And the next piece of that is they just got to tackle well in space. It's got to be good on good, man on man.
Yeah, the Georgia linebackers are kind of the talk of this game, and I'm a big part of that because that's the strength of their defense. But I think this is a massive game for the Texas linebackers to play well, because you're going to be tested in the run.
Yeah.
And this is the best group of tight ends Texas has seen this year. They're going to have a lot on their plate, and they have to execute a lot that's going to be asked of them Saturday, because they got to play the run. And everybody thinks about Delp and Lawson Lucky, but the freshman Ulysses Williams is a freak at tight end. He's just a freshman. The Texas linebackers have to play their best game of the season Saturday for me.
They really do, and I think with the off week and a lot of extra time to watch these guys, there's a lot of potential for them to not only be able to know what Georgia does, but to understand what they're supposed to do against that. And our guys have done really well. I mean, Leonga Fowl and Anthony Hill, I've really enjoyed watching them this season. There have been times when in the run game they haven't been in the right spots, but I think this is the game where they will move in that direction. And I think the hard part for them will be that kind of combination of run fit, but also covering well and covering in space. If they can run fit and cover well in space, it's going to be a difficult time, and it'll be able to stonewall that offense. But I think we got to look at this too in a little bit of a different way. That offense is going to do well against our defense. We've got to find a way to win on the margin, and that may be a late turnover, and that may be them accidentally kicking the niblet and him doing something special. But I really do. I really feel like it's just going to be good on good, and will be a stalemate until somebody finds a way to execute there when it's needed. And this, I think, the person who if he has a good game, which he has really been doing, and if he can take it up to a bit of that next level, Anthony Hill could really be the difference maker this weekend. The way that he blitzes, the quarterback, the way that he aggressively takes on blocks to move people to get to the ball carrier is really special. And there's a lot of opportunity for him to do something awesome. And when he plays well, Leonga Fowl, all the rest, Ty Anthony, all the rest of the guys can get in there, because we're definitely going to be able to rush the passer, but we're going to need to stop the run first.
You mentioned leaning in and watching the Ole Miss game. What did you see that Lane Kiffin did so effectively from your standpoint?
He had a clear identity walking in there. That's what he did. He had a clear identity, and not only did he have a clear identity, his players knew what that was and they executed. It wasn't like, hey, we've got some incredible talent that we're just going to outrun you and do all of that. They just did what they did well. They kept them on their heels, and they kept them guessing. They moved the pocket. They did what they needed to do to stay away, to protect, but also run the ball. They kept it. They kept them guessing, and they kept them on their heels. If Texas can do that, and I really feel like that recipe is going to be running downhill directly at those linebackers. What you do with a great edge rusher, is you run at them.
No doubt. Georgia's going to try to do it to Colin.
That's what they're going to do. That's what they're going to do to them, and that's what we have to do to those linebackers. You've got to stone man on man, move that double team, and get to those linebackers. Keep them off your running backs. Guy like CJ Baxter can have a big day. And if CJ has a big day, that's going to really open the door for that outside zone for Trey Wisner to really pick a hole and get north and south.
I love what you said earlier. This game could be coming down to winning in the margins.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I see it as well. Georgia has been tremendous at that under Kirby Smart in the last 5 years. That's why they won 2 national championships.
Mhm.
They win in the margins. Not only can they come out and bully you, if you're just outmatched, they'll just outmatch you. But when the game gets close in the fourth quarter, they can win in the margins. And that's what Texas is facing, the level play. All right, Will, you're going to Athens. You'll be on the sideline crew for the Longhorn Radio Network as an analyst. What does your analysis say about this Texas ball game? How are you picking this one?
Jerry, Bobby, Blake, you killing me right now. I mean, I have mulled this over and chewed on it so much. I'm a homer. So look, it's 31-30 Texas. I do think both offenses are going to move the ball more than we think. I do think, especially in the passing, I do think Texas is going to have a lot of success stopping the run. But I think it's going to be difficult in the pass game. They've got great players. They've got Branch. They've got Delp. They've got experienced people, and they're gonna be able to protect Gunner back there. And he's a Georgia homer. I mean, that's just this guy. They're gonna play well, and I think Texas is gonna do that. I think Texas is gonna have to find a way, like we're just talking about, to dig into those margins and get those hidden yards. I mean, I tell you, and I'm going to harp on this. The sideline needs to lose their mind if Texas on the run game gets 3 yards.
Yeah.
That when I walked into Texas, Coach Bruce Chambers looked me in the face and said, "Will, what's 3 times 4?" And I said, 12. He said, "No, first down, man." He goes, look, if you can run the ball 4 times, it'll get you first down. And what does that do? It imposes your will against your opponent. It manages the clock, and it opens up protection and opens up the deep shot. That has got to be the plan there. I do think Texas will score down there. I do think Arch is playing at a level, and this is the opportunity for him to walk into a whole nother arena and really do it. And these guys, when Sark has a little bit of time, they walk into these big games in a special way. I'm telling you right now, I will be wearing my Longhorn in Tuscaloosa shirt because I remember how it felt to leave Tuscaloosa and say, "Oh, guys, great game. We really thank you for letting us come down here and showing us your Southern hospitality." As I get on the plane with the W. Come on now. That's the kind of energy we're going to need this weekend. And I mean, you see, I got it.
Will Matthews smack talk right there, Will. Will, thank you so much for joining us today, buddy. I'm holding you to it, 31-30 Texas.
31-30.
Hey, Will, I got one last thing for you. Just be ready for this, my question next week. Where does Georgia rank as far as the crowd noise in road game venues that you've covered in the SEC? Because I think one of the mistakes some of these teams are making in these road games, like A&M has a great home field, right? But sometimes they play too much music and take away their own home field. They've gotten to be too entertainment-like and not enough college football-like. I'm interested to see what Georgia's going to pull out Saturday night.
Yeah, Jerry. And to that point too, like when we were down in Florida, it was not about the music and it was not about the songs. They sung a song in the fourth quarter, but they had chants. They get back, you suck. Like they had their own sort of atmosphere, and I can't wait to see that. I mean, I was kind of dumbfounded by the level of energy in Florida. These SEC stadiums are crazy. And every time I ask Holly Rowe, I'm like, "Holly, is this the best? Is this the best?" And she's always like, "Hey, you got to see this. And you got to see Georgia. You got to see Tennessee." The fan in me is really excited to see that. And here's the opportunity for Texas. Drink it in. Enjoy it. Because there's nothing better than a silent fourth quarter.
That's right.
Let's go, Texas.
All right. Will, thank you so much, brother. You have a good one. I'll see you over there, hopefully.
Let's go. See ya.
All right. Welcome, Horns, bud. Appreciate it. Will Matthews, former Longhorn, visiting with us. He'll be in Athens on Saturday for the Longhorn Radio Network. We appreciate him joining us every Thursday on Coffee and Football.
All right, well, we need to talk about a few of our sponsors real quick. And I'm going to let you start with Culligan.
Yeah, you got to have good water. Don't drink the water in Athens like you wouldn't drink the water in some vacation spots, is what I tell you. But you know when you drink the water, if you have Culligan's Ultra Pure, when it comes to the water your family drinks and uses every day, you don't want to cut corners. That's why for 90 years, people have trusted Culligan. And here in Austin, Culligan Ultra Pure has been serving the community for more than 60 years. Culligan Ultra Pure provides high-quality residential treatment at an affordable price, including reverse osmosis systems, water softeners, and UV purification lights. Whether your water comes from a well or a municipal source, Culligan has the perfect treatment solution for your home. And right now, you can schedule a free water test and save up to $600 when you mention On Texas Football. Culligan Ultra Pure proudly serves Austin, Corpus Christi, Victoria, Brownwood, Pampa, and Plainview. So don't wait. Call Culligan Ultra Pure today at 512-339-2378 to schedule your free water analysis. Again, that's 512-339-2378. And you know who you asked for there? Michael, an OTF member, community member. Who better to get that perfect water from? Better water starts with Culligan.
And Bobby, if you would be so kind to tell everyone this morning about Kirby Lane.
Yeah, one of my favorites. Kirby Lane All Day Cafe is an Austin institution. Been that way since 1980 with the local vibe and late night pancakes you know and love. Now dinner is where they're raising the bar. Bold, chef-driven entrees like steak, frites, and Mediterranean chicken, their famous queso, shareable plates, plus a full line of gluten-free options. And the bar stocked with craft cocktails that deliver. Kirby Lane is the Austin original for a night out with real flavor. Check the full dinner lineup for tonight at KirbyLaneCafe.com. That's KirbyLaneCafe.com.
And one more, Bobby. That's Tacovas this morning.
I'm wearing these this week because I'm taking Texas to Georgia. Anywhere worth going is worth going in good boots. Born in Texas in 2015, Tacovas are handcrafted with every stitch on point. Tacovas boots are made for a good time and a long time. I love the fact that they're already broken in for comfort right out of the box. Mine were. And Tacovas make it easy for anyone to find their favorite boot. With all kinds of sizes and styles, Tacovas are simply the best boot around. I really like that they can either be daily boots or you can feel dressed up on them. I'm going to be at the happy hour on Friday in Atlanta at Botica wearing my Tacovas. Right now, get 10% off at tacovas.com/Texas football when you sign up for email and text. That's 10% off at TECOVAS.com/Texas football. With Tacovas Best in the West guarantee, you also get free returns and exchanges for 30 days. Tacovas.com/Texas football. See site for details. And while you're doing it, Tacovas, point your toes west.
I'm going to change the read at the ending this week. Tacovas, point your toes east.
Why?
Because you're going to Georgia.
It doesn't matter. We're going to
taking your Tacovas east.
We're going to take them back west.
Yeah.
Well, some more super chats this morning. Lockenhorn says it went without fanfare, but at Sark's Monday presser, he mentioned Jonah. Do you guys see a more elevated role?
He mentioned him slightly, but the one that in the secondary that he really mentioned that caught my attention was Cade Phillips. And the reason why Texas hasn't had, when Taff and McDonald are there and available, and Phil Simi, they haven't had issues at defense, at safety. So that's where Jonah plays. They have had issues at corner this year. And I don't know. We'll see if Jonah plays more. I think the time he had was valuable learning experience against Vanderbilt. But I wonder if Cade Phillips, like, for instance, I'll say this. The thing that Cade Phillips brings to you on the outside, he may be better against Georgia's taller wide receivers on the perimeter against their perimeter run game because he's bigger. I mean, he's bigger than Manny Muhammad. He's bigger than Warren Roberson. He's bigger. I mean, and so if he can hold up in coverage and still have that length on the perimeter, he could be a factor in this game. That's Cade Phillips.
And let's see here. Then there's one here from Parth Brooks. If OU beats Bama / wins out 10-2, and we're 9-3, does the SEC get 6 in? Also, eye test matters if we want to get in at 9-3, and you can't get out physicals.
Well, that means, yeah, if OU beats Bama and goes 10-2, they deserve to be in. Let's be real. I mean, that's reality. So no, I think the only way a 9-3 Texas, if Texas were 9-3, gets in, is OU loses to Bama obviously this week, and they can finish 9-3, but loses to Bama, and then Vanderbilt loses at Tennessee. If either one of those teams is 10-2 and Texas is 9-3, not happening. I don't care if Texas beat them head to head or not.
I agree with Jerry.
But I don't think the SEC will get 6 in. The only way the SEC has a chance to get 6 in, and I don't think that's a reality, because that means even if a USC was 9-3, that they get bypassed for a 6 SEC team that's 9-3. And I'm not sure the committee would absolutely go there. The only way I can see the scenario working out for 6 in the SEC is if Notre Dame gets upset at Pitt this weekend. That's the only way I can see it working out. Because if Notre Dame loses another game, they're out. No chance they're getting in. Even at 9-3, they're done with their schedule.
All right. Well, I got to leave early, but I'm going to leave y'all on this one and then let y'all take over. This from Jay Lee. Thank you, Jay. As always, how does Sark balance trying to get a run game going at Georgia, but not ramming our heads into a wall if the run game isn't working? And with that said, fellas, I'll see y'all tomorrow.
52 days tomorrow of Blake Monroe. He had a hard out at 9:30.
Well, he wanted that so he didn't mute himself.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what he did. Jay Lee, this is the eternal play caller question.
Yep.
What's too much and what's not enough, and what's the happy median in between? I don't know the answer, but we'll find it. We'll figure it out at the end of the game on Saturday. I guarantee you that. We'll have opinions. I don't know how he does it. I think Texas probably going to need to be 60-40 pass run on Saturday. I don't think they can be 65-35. That's you got to stick with the run at some level, and you got to be able to. You got to be in the game. Yeah. So I don't know for sure on that. Hey, Jerry, before we get going, I got a couple more questions, and this is one from Trills Mac. Do you trust the offensive line to make a push? I don't necessarily trust the offensive line to make a push. I'm looking for a stalemate.
Yeah.
As much as anything, particularly in pass protection. What about you, Jerry?
Yeah, I mean, look, Texas didn't really make a push last year.
No.
I don't think that's the way you're beating Georgia, and Texas is beating Georgia. If you're a Nick Saban, I think that's different in the way they played offensive football and their identity as an offensive football team. I don't think that's Texas. So it just is what it is. Yeah, it's a stalemate, and you kind of put these two questions together. I think if you look up and Trey Wisner has 19 carries for 60 yards or 55 yards Saturday, that's probably a take.
Big win.
I mean, that's a take in this game. What you don't want to look up and see Texas running backs carried it 17 times for 28 yards, and you're forced to throw it 40 times in the game. I don't think that's necessarily a win.
That's why I'm saying 60-40 pass run, but it can't be 65-35 pass run. Yeah. Not in win.
No.
Not against Georgia.
Because those linebackers are going to tee off in pass rush.
Hey, Jerry, you and I aren't doing talking ball in the Q&A as much as we used to on those Mondays. We've kind of done that now where it's a recorded video. So I want to ask you this, because you and I talk about recruiting quite often when it's just you and I. A question from Bobby says, et cetera, too much. Jerry, which is it? Are recruiting class rankings important or not? I have a theory that I've long held, but I'm going to let you start. And
well, I saw this question. I started because he asked it after I made the comment about Dontrell Glover, the 3-star offensive lineman guard, the high 3-star offensive lineman guard that starts for Georgia. Class rankings are very important because if you sign enough top 5 level classes, you're going to have one of the most talented rosters in the country from a high school perspective. Now it's more than that for portal. But every guy you sign can't be a 4-star prospect. Georgia's number 1 ranked class in 2024 had 30 signees, 10 were ranked 3 stars. So class rankings are very important because it tells you over time, year to year, are you building a talented roster, a talented enough roster? Because if you rank in the top 5 in recruiting, then a majority of the prospects in that class are nationally recruited or now are recruited by your SEC rivals. So your talent level is going to be, from a high school standpoint, where you need it. It's not going to be perfect, but it's a pretty good snapshot. I mean, what, Bobby, Nick Saban had 1 recruiting class ranked outside the top 5 for 15 years or 14 years. Georgia, I don't think, has had 1. Ohio State, maybe 1 in the last 14 years. So it definitely matters. Is it an end-all, be-all? It's not, but it definitely matters for your overall roster talent and the perception of that in recruiting. It all matters. I mean, if in the SEC, Bobby, you're ranked 25th in recruiting, you're about 14.
Let me say this. I mean, I've been asked this question a lot. Class rankings, I agree with Jerry. Class rankings are important because they're a telltale sign of your overall depth of talent on your roster. But let's look at it this way. Say you're a business owner and you own 30 McDonald's franchises. Well, some of those McDonald's it's the same brand on it, McDonald's, but some of them are going to outperform others. And some that started off as 3 stars are going to end up being your most profitable stores. That's the same way in recruiting. But you want to start off with a greater percentage of clay or a store that looks like and feels like it's going to be good. So all recruiting is the law of averages and the law of numbers. Now, there are exceptions to every McDonald's franchise and every recruit. It's just the way the world is. So I think that, you take them each on an individual basis. And that's the best way to go about it and how people need to think about recruiting as a whole, not just that. All right, Jerry, we need to get out of here. I'm headed to Athens today. Tomorrow morning, I'll be live from Athens. Hopefully, I'll have the stadium in the background for you guys so y'all can see it. That'll be fun. We also have Football Theory coming later today with Rod Babers. He is going to be talking a little Longhorn versus Georgia topic for us. Then we have the live stream later tonight. And then over the weekend, don't forget, we have our full day of information coming towards you guys, whether it's the Saturday conversation, the tailgate, watch with us, as well as the post-game show. Before we get out of here, though, I want to say thank you one more time to our primary sponsor on Thursdays. And these guys have been really good to us, and I hope you take advantage of what they have to offer. And that's our friends over at Vaughn Lane. Look, with all the holiday mess that flying is right now, Vaughn Lane is your first-class alternative to flying. This fall, travel's picking up. Weekend getaways, business trips, and holiday visits are on everyone's schedule, even into the winter. For Longhorn fans, there's one destination that typically stands out, and that's Austin. So whether you're headed to town for the last big home game or to see family for the holidays or leaving Austin and going somewhere else in the great state of Texas, Vaughn Lane is the smartest way to get there. You'll arrive refreshed, relaxed, and ready for kickoff or ready for family time. Book now at vaughnlane.com and save $20 on your first trip with code OTF25. Vaughn Lane, elevated regional travel, serving Austin, Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, Fort Worth, the Plano, the Woodlands, Nashville, Memphis, Atlanta, and Knoxville. Feel like I'm reading an old ad for Southwest Airlines. Remember how they kind of started in Texas and started branching out? But no, Vaughn Lane's been very, very good to us. We appreciate them and their sponsorship every morning. Also, just a reminder for those of you guys out there about what we talked about with Tony Jeffrey earlier in the show. Jerry, any final thoughts before we let people go this morning?
No. I mean, I think what Will said is so spot on about this game, and I love it. And I'm as a sports fan in general, I'm just jacked up for this game Saturday. And I'm interested to see what other team goes down this weekend. Somebody's going to get upset. We're at that point in college football. The November upsets start happening. So college football as a whole, I think somebody will go down this weekend. I know everybody's going to be a Pitt fan this weekend, but I'm so jacked up for Texas, Georgia. This is and I'm really excited for the fans as much as anything. We talked about this when you go to the SEC, the venues you get to go to. And we kind of circled year 2 for Texas fans because year 1, Georgia and Florida came to Austin. This year, fans, the Space City Wranglers in our chat was at that game at Florida. They've got to experience Florida and now Georgia. That really is 2 of the better venues in the country to go watch a college football game. If you love the sport, it's a great place to be. You just got to win the game now.
So I love the sport, and that's why I'm going a day early.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for everything, Jerry. Thank you also to Blake Monroe and Will Matthews, our guest, and to all of our sponsors. For Jerry Hamilton, I'm Bobby Burton. You guys have a good one. We'll see you here in a little bit. Hook 'em horns.